The mess in Indian football only continues to deepen. AIFF are now left scrambling for answers. The disaster in AIFF and the disaster in Indian football is now a new crisis has emerged. Manolo Marquez, the Indian football head coach, has decided to quit. In the recent development which happened, Manolo Marquez and AIFF mutually agreed to part ways. He was in a 2-year contract, but now he has lasted under 1 year, which is the shortest that we have had in this whole decade. Stephen Constantine and Igor Stimac both served out their 5-year contract period. But now, with this latest departure, Indian football is now grasping for answers. What do they do? How will you ensure that Indian football is brought back on track? Now, the reasons for Manolo Marquez's departure are many. And many will say, okay, perhaps he had to go. Because there he only registered one major win in 8 games. And 3-0 versus Maldives was the only thing that we could show. But India have lost subsequent games also. And they have not scored in most of them. In danger, because of this particular situation, India is in danger of not even qualifying for the 2027 AFC Asian Cup in Saudi Arabia. The straw that broke the camel's back was losing 0-1 to Hong Kong, rank 153rd. And this was their first loss to Hong Kong after nearly 3 decades. All these things combined, it was a given that Manolo Marquez could not have continued. But is he himself to blame for this? Actually, AIFF are also to be blamed, because if you look at the due process that was followed, Manolo Marquez is one of the best coaches that the ISL has ever had. He's led 2 teams to the world chair, to the championships, ISL championships, Hyderabad FC and FC Goa. With FC Goa and all the other clubs that he's been with, he has been grooming young talent. He's been ensuring that yes, he does do well, and he's grooming young Indian talent to a hilt wherein they can compete at the international level. But dual role of FC Goa coach and India head coach. Attention on FC Goa, but no breaks to focus on the Indian football team. What used to happen in FC Goa? There used to be a session, there used to be training sessions, he would interact with the players, he would groom them into a unit. That's why FC Goa did well. But on the other hand, where was the time to assemble the Indian team and ensure, okay, we have good sessions together and ensure we form a unit? He just didn't have the time. He didn't have breaks. Which is why AIFF need to be questioned as to why on earth would you give a coach the prime task of the Indian football head coach role when you already have an ISL coach role. Dual coaching, how does it help? Too much on his platter. And did his decision to go back to Sunil Chhetri on one particular match, did that prove to be fatal for his chances? Because under Manolo Marquez, Indian football was being deemed as, okay, youngsters are going to lead the charge. It's a new era. But going back to Sunil Chhetri, yes, there is no doubt about it. Sunil Chhetri is one of the greatest footballers that we have ever had. But remember, we all got swayed away by the form that he showed with Bengaluru FC. But Bengaluru FC had Sunil Chhetri where there were players also to support him. Here, there were not many players who could support Sunil Chhetri. So, all the combinations, every single plan, keeping in mind future youngsters in mind, going back to Sunil Chhetri did mean that, okay, Manolo Marquez had run out of ideas. Which is why this current mess in the Indian football system, it's very hard now to get out of it. Igor Stimac also left on a very sour note, and you have to also understand now, whoever takes up Indian football, it's a poison chalice. Who will be the coach in the interim? This is the next question now. Several candidates are being talked about. But in the interim, who will replace Manolo Marquez? because he's not even lasted halfway through his 2-year contract. Who will now take up the poison chalice of Indian football coaching? You can write to us in the comments below. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.